Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Getting Real About Business. I know by now, for sure, this is your favorite business podcast because what we do here is give you the real tea. So, before we jump into today's topic, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dana Haysburg, also known as the Vision Builder, and with me is my wonderful co host, Andrea Ragu, also known as your virtual CFO. So, hi, Andrea.
Hello, hello. Can't wait to get into our topic today. I'm so excited.
Yeah, today's one is, every topic is a good topic, but I know for a fact that there are different things that will pull you in. And so today we are tackling what Andrea and I have seen as some of the biggest myths in entrepreneurship. And particularly, we're going to look at all these quick steps, all of these shortcuts to success. Um, if you have ever found yourself tempted with the get rich overnight, shortcut the process, 1, 2, 3, rich is me kind of situation, then this episode is for you. Because at the end of the day, the reason that this people find themselves trapped by this is because we ultimately start our businesses looking to be successful, correct? Nobody starts their business thinking, I want to fail. In fact, what we are trying to do and what we've learned to do is basically avoid the pitfalls of other persons. And yes, there is a benefit to that. But how do you go between what is an actual avoiding the pitfalls strategy and what is actually a gimmick? Because we find that there are a lot of gimmicks and that a lot of traps that are being set for folks that promise fast results, that promise lasting success, that gives the illusion of quick success, and at the end of it now, you find yourself sometimes in a far worse position than you planned. So in this episode, we are going to break down why these quick wins, these quick step strategies without a solid foundation ultimately leads to long-term business struggle. Sometimes your business falls up. So this leads us to why we chose the name for this episode. Fast money, faster failure. Because honestly, there is no real shortcut to success.
This is such a relevant topic to our audience because we understand our entrepreneurs. We get it. You want your business to succeed. So to the point where that temptation to succeed is so real, it's palpable, right? Remember, as you said, Dana, people got into business not to fail. Nobody goes into business thinking, well, I'm going to do this and I'm sure I'm going to fail in a month, in 2 years' time. Nobody does that. We get into business with our hopes and our dreams, and we get into business with our need for financial stability, our need for income, right? So we get into business for this thing to help us in our livelihood. And especially if this business is a side business, right? You're already stressed from your job. So this business was supposed to be, or is supposed to be, that get out of get out of jail card, right? It's a pathway to something else. So you don't want this business to be a burden. And because you don't want that, that's where the temptation steps in now. I need this to happen fast. I need this to happen quick. I need this to turn around, right? So, because the business is supposed to provide relief and provide income. But because this business is supposed to provide relief and provide income, it is for that same reason that we are saying you shouldn't use these shortcuts, as tempting as it is, because you are trying to for this business to provide a lifeline for you and your family in the form of income. So for those reasons, that's all the more reason why you actually need to forget about the shortcuts, sidestep the shortcuts, and focus on sustainable growth, so that that income and financial stability that you're looking for, you'll be able to do it for a very long time, as
Absolutely.
opposed to just response to something immediate, and a bulk of money comes in and then you can't sustain it afterwards. So for the same reasons that you are tempted to go to the shortcuts and try to do things quickly. It is for that same reason that we are saying, hey, sidestep those shortcuts. That's not the way, because it's not going to lead you to the long-term path.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. What is a long-term path? Pick up right from Andrea. What is a long-term path? The long-term path is sustainable growth, business growth. That is where we're at. We start our businesses, vision. We want to start off with 2 sales. And then 10 years, we are constantly making 100 sales per month. Just saying, right? Those are not the real numbers, but that's what we want. So the problem in terms of running after these quick fix, these gimmicks, these get rich quick strategies is that one, it does not push you in the direction of sustainability as it relates to a process to have repeat customers and sustainable income and your ability to properly plan your income, right? An example of this is when you decide that I haven't met my target and I'm going to throw a flash sale. We've seen it with throwing a flash sale, but you cut your prices so much that you're cutting even into the cost price of the items. So with every sale, you're making a loss. Have you ever found yourself in that situation? So how can you sustainably grow if that is what you are doing, right? You're looking at things like if every time you're running after the next fad, the next gimmick, the next trend, then you are not building a consistent strategy over time. You are not building on your core business growth framework. So think about it this way. If you're building a puzzle and you get somewhere in the puzzle and then you abandon the puzzle for another puzzle, the first puzzle is still not built.
Project incomplete.
Project incomplete. So 5 years down the line, you have a room full of incomplete
Complete
puzzles,
puzzles.
not a grand picture, nothing working together. So that is literally what you do. Every time you see somebody pops up on your TikTok feed or pops up on your Instagram feed with earn $10,000 in 3 days, and you abandon what
Yep.
was giving you $500 per week.
Per week, exactly. You abandon. So this is where they get roped in, right? You abandon consistent sales, although you in your mind you may think it's small, but you abandon consistent cash flow for now inconsistent cash flow.
Yes.
And what can you do with inconsistent cash flow? Nothing.
Nothing.
You cannot do anything sustainable with inconsistent cash flow.
Absolutely not. So you're wasting time, you're wasting money. You just I want to throw this in, and I know I'm going to hurt your feelings. I love you still, but I'm just saying you just spent $5,000 for somebody to teach you how to make $10,000. Make it make sense. Moving on.
We'll just leave that one there. You'll
That's it.
think
So
about that.
essentially, the whole reason that the problem with running after these gimmicks is that you get tired, you don't have consistency in your growth, and eventually, truthfully, as a business owner, you feel very lost and you feel very hopeless. And that's why this episode is important to you. So grab your pen, grab your paper, because it's time for us to now go into the deep dive discussion of what does this look like, what to avoid, and how can you refrain from getting caught up in these traps. Right? So Andrea, back over to you.
So if you're wondering, well, when you say gimmick and get rich quick, like what we really saying? So let me know if any of these striking a familiar nerve with you guys. Earn 6 figures in 90 days. Start a business, zero investment, and you make money instantly, right? My favorite. Just follow these 3 steps to financial freedom, right? These are common things that you see out there, right? Where people promise that if you take these seemingly simple, non simple, and easy steps, that big things are going to happen, right? So and then there's some not so obvious ones. Things like when, the whole concept of people saying if you go viral, you get sales fast, that you're trying to go viral. If my video goes viral, there's going to be a lot of money and I'm going to get it fast. Or the other misconception that giving away free things brings in business. So those last two, they're not really quite the gimmick out there, but subtly it's the same thing. It's the thought of, not having to do much in order to get this great amount of sales and great amount of money. So the reality check here, though, is that these methods, it's not that they're total failure. It's not. But what it is yielding is just a quick result. And with a quick result, you don't get long term scalable businesses. You don't get sustainable results. What you get is a quick knee jerk reaction, right? It's quick, it happens fast, it happens now, great. And it looks good maybe for the few days or the week or even the month that it happened, that you get this thing and it's going. But then, as with all good things, what happens after, right? So this looks like you get that great big sales spike after your viral campaign. But what happens afterwards? You struggle. You struggle because you didn't plan properly. You went into the gimmick without any proper plan. So you hit the plateau and you collapse now due to weak foundations in the business. A totally weak foundation that is unable to handle that knee-jerk reaction that you generated. You did not have a plan or a strategy on what to do with it after. So all you did is you just jerked the knee. It just happened and that's it. And there was nothing happening afterwards. So this is what we are seeing now. These get rich quick, or these gimmicks. It promises that initial burst, right? If you think about it, it's like an energy drink. Maybe that's the way to look at it. It's like an energy drink. There's a crash that happens after. Now, in that initial thing, you drink the energy drink and you get this burst, and you could accomplish things, But how you accomplish things maybe for the day or even 2 days, and you get the project done. But then afterwards, there's a crash. You feel awful. You ride the high, and then there's nothing after. Yes, Dana.
For sure. So this gets us to a point now where we have our favorite segment. I don't know. We have two segments that are our favorites. But eventually, we'll figure out which is the favorite.
We'll figure out which one is our
But I
favorite.
know that this is for sure a favorite for you guys. It is our bakery.
Bakery
The
in
bakery.
the bakery.
For sure. We know that it's a favorite for you. And so this bakery in the bakery is, I'm going to point out for you guys some of the things that we see. And so if you've ever seen them, you can now put it in your mental pocket that this is an example of something that's a gimmick, a quick fix thing that is not really going to deal with the root issues within your business, right? Because business gimmicks will always seem really, really good, really sweet in the moment, but the aftertaste leaves a lot to be desired, right? So, what are some of these business gimmicks that we see? The no effort, big reward situations. Now, there are certain types of business models and certain types of businesses that encourage you to come in and to become millionaires within a year, millionaires within a few months, rise the ranks, right? So you're selling this idea that you can get to this place of lots of money, power, and influence without as much effort. But I've been on this earth for a little while, and so has Andrea. We're not old. We're not old. Let's get that straight. But we've been around, in our professional career.
We've been around these blocks. We've seen a thing or two.
And I don't know about you, but we know that there must be some effort to get reward, right? A seed must be sown in order to get the plant. So therefore, this idea that you can get this thing with very limited work might look like send out this email sequence to get all these people to buy from you. Follow this.
The email sequence that sells.
The email sequence that sells, yes. to get this is your $100,000 email sequence. All you need to do is send the emails out. Or let's look at the hype marketing situation. Let's put it into that. You have the situation where these are the reels that you need to do to get traction in your business. But what happens when the particular platform that you're renting space on no longer favors that form of media? So you just spend all this time learning this dance. You just
Learning a
spend
dance and perfecting the reel, and
perfecting the
then
reel and the
the
transition.
algorithm says we don't want that anymore and stops sharing your content.
We don't want it anymore. Or you just spent your entire morning recording a day in the life. You set up cameras everywhere in your office and in your workspace, recording your day in the life. He has to deal with that, right? It will work to get you the sales on that day. But do you realize that you have to spend all of this time and energy every single day hoping that somebody is going to buy from you, that you are going to hit your sales target every day? And worse yet, you're doing it, you're there in the life, but you have no easy process for people to buy. Let's move on. Fakery in the bakery, let's be real. Let's be real. And now see, again, one size fits all strategy. No tweak, no modification. Let me show you what I did. You follow what I did and you're going to make it. Yeah, but is that person, that American person that you are looking at, who is operating in America where people have different buying patterns, do they know anything about Trinidad and Tobago? Do they know anything about Guyana? Do they know anything about Barbados? Do they know about how people buy in Dominica? Do they know if you have e-commerce in Grenada? They don't know any of that. So how is it that it's going to work for you?
Preach.
So fakery in the bakery.
The
And today
bakery.
is your day to stop falling for those tricks. Yeah?
So we hope that what you're taking away from this segment, Fakery the Bakery, is that if a strategy does not require any effort, any strategic thinking, or any adaptability to your business, it is not a real business model that will for you to follow and that will give you sustainable growth.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
so what does that lead us to now? So now that you understand what these gimmicks are, you understand why it doesn't work for businesses, what is your solution? Well, your solution is here are three things that you need to implement in order to see some long-term business success. They're kind of pillars of strong businesses that you should be looking to implement. So the first one is you need to have a strong financial foundation. So what is a strong financial foundation? Well, it is a foundation or a system that allows you to track your cash flow, budget your funds, and then when you make profit, reinvest the profits, right? Reinvest the profits into the business or reinvest the profits into diversifying the business into other areas. So strong financial foundation. So number two, consistent execution and strategy. So what that looks like is you want to adapt to market trends, yes, because the market trends tell you what your audience is looking for. But you also want to maintain your own core business values and what you're building your business on. And when we say core business values, what we're saying is what is the heart of what your business does? And if you're not sure what that is, that's actually an action. You should sit and think about that. And the reason why that is important is because without that core value, you're going to be pulled by these gimmicks because you're just going to be going from gimmick to gimmick, whether or not it aligns with what you're doing in the business. So it's important that you need to have that. So if you're not sure what your core business values are, get some, right? Get some values and incorporate it, and then you now have something to execute in when you're doing your strategy. And then what you also need is you want to do smart scaling in your business. So what this is grow at a pace that ensures stability. The problem with these gimmicks that we've highlighted here today is it gives you such a spike that sometimes it's too fast for you, right? And you may not be able to know how to deal with that volume, how to deal with that growth that happens so quickly. And that's why the failure happens, right? And that's why you crash after, because you got this spike and you got that initial injection and that growth, but you didn't have something in place to deal with it. So after it passes, it just passes. So you end up failing, right? Most businesses see failure after windfalls because they have not planned on how to deal with one, all the money that came in, and two, there's that extra volume and relationships that come with it and customers that come with it. They just had nothing. They just didn't know how to deal with it afterwards, right? So what we're saying is what you need to look for is if you look for businesses to pattern yourself after, right? These things that we've described, these are foundational pillar things that you need to have in your business. And when you have these things, some of the features that will come out of a successful business are things like diversified income, right? Some of the features that these more successful businesses have is that you see things like they have more than one type of income coming in, right? And we're not just talking about just different variations of the same product, right? We're not talking about a variety of products. We're talking about things like they have income from completely different things. So they may have income from a physical product. Then they might have income from maybe teaching courses, right? Then they may have income they get into acquisitions of another business. That's even when you grow even more, right? You acquire another business that may or may not be related to where you're in now, right? You're investing in other areas. So you want to be able, that diversified income is a strong feature that is usually seen, right? Other things to look out for that will come through is forward and backward integration. If you've never heard the term before, it's a term that you should, as a business owner, you should get familiar with. But what it's basically saying is that you own more and more of your value chain. So forward integration is you own the contracts that you go forward with. So you're selling your product, that's the forward, but you own additional steps in that in selling that product forward, right? And then backward might mean instead of buying a raw material, you turn around and you make the raw material yourself. So you now have control both ways. So it reduces exposure to different risk in the market. But that's a feature that successful businesses who have been in the game for a long time, long-term growth, that's what gives you that one. And one last one that I want to highlight is you have what we call a curated community that gives you brand loyalty. And what that does is give you consistent sales, right? So you've been able to build up that community that once you go to them, it's a kind of loyalty that gives you sales over and over again, which is, again, going against the gimmick. The gimmick is just do it once and you get a knee-jerk reaction. But your community over time will always give you that consistent sales that you want over time, right? Oh, and I think one last one is success looks like having a proper operating structure. What does that mean? Having a management team or even a board, but definitely having a sense of managing a management team, established workflows and operational procedures that should be documented so that as you grow, you know what you are doing. Anybody you bring on board, they have the workflow, they have the procedures in order to follow. These are the foundational things that you see in more successful businesses.
Yeah, that's so you see, we now have this strategy. You now know the things that you need to consider, not only um what it is that are just the three pillars of long-term business success, but we also see what the features of that are in terms of what does it really look like in certain businesses. And so therefore you can actually now go and explore businesses that you admire within your own local community within your own country, within the region, and determine, hey, do they have these elements? Because now it's not just about having the big building. Now it's not just about having the long-term name. We're seeing a lot of companies having the long-term name and having the businesses are not making it any longer. So consider these pillars and consider these features. And so this brings us to our final segment, which is from hustler to CEO.
CEO.
And in this segment, we really just want to summarize what the key takeaways are for you so that you can always come back and reference this as this part of the podcast episode to ascertain what your actionable step is, what should be your final takeaway. And ultimately, the final takeaway for us here is that sustainable success, sustainable business growth is not built on a pillar of gimmicks. It can never be. It is built on the pillars of strategy, financial discipline, and consistency. Very important. So, your actionable step right now, this week, is to take a hard and honest look at your current business model and ask yourself this key question. Am I building a business for long-term success, or am I simply chasing quick wins? When you look at that, you're really going to look at what are the actions that I've taken, uh, and it really points you in the direction of, am I taking long-term action or am I taking quick wins? And from that, you can identify one area where you need to make a shift from the shortcuts so that you can start building sustainability, consistency, and continued growth day by day. So that is your homework, your takeaway from this episode. And more than that, if you've ever been sold on a quick fix, you've tried it and it didn't work, this episode is not about you feeling badly. But I do think if you can share what that was in the chat, it will be so helpful to other persons because we just gave some examples. We don't know all of them. So share a quick fix that you tried and it didn't work the way that you planned. And also share what you think your action step is going to be after listening to this episode. Once again, we thank you so much for choosing to be here with us. We want to remind you that if you have not subscribed yet to our channel, please do so. Please turn on your notifications so you do not miss our new episodes, which air every first and third Thursday of the month. We want to thank those of you who have been engaged. We want to thank those of you who have been following. We want to thank those of you who continue to turn up here every first and third Thursday for these episodes. Until our next time, my name is Dina Hayesburg, and we have my
I am Andrea Ragu, your
and
virtual CFO.
and we will see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.